Sneak out.
Hello, welcome to episode 6 of the Unexceptional Moms podcast. I'm Erin Lorraine.
And I'm Ellen Stembo, and today we have guests. We have Marcus and Mardra Sikora. And the really exciting thing about this is that, Mardra, you and I have known each other for quite a few years.
Virtually.
Virtually, yes. And you have done some blog posts for me. And Marcus, we're really excited for you to be here because you wrote a book.
That's right.
And what's the name of your book?
The book called Black Day.
And it's about a monster rock band.
Exactly.
And you wrote it. Okay, so Marcus, really, we're going to ask you questions because I'm sure that everybody wants to get to know you. So, Marcus, you have Down syndrome.
Yes, I am.
And how old are you?
26.
So you're an author like your mom. You're both writers, and you wanted to write this book. So tell us about that. How did you decide to write a book, a Halloween book?
Yeah. It's in a Hollingsworth State Park.
He got the idea at Mahoney State Park at a cabin.
Oh, wow. Now, is it true that Halloween is one of your favorite holidays?
Yes.
Yes.
And some people have asked me before, the book actually, it doesn't have anything to do with Down syndrome.
That's Brad.
Yep.
It's a Halloween story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Can we see the cover, Marcus?
Oh yeah, for those that are watching the video, they can see it. Black Day. And I will be linking to that in our blog post so people can go and get the book. Marcus, I don't know if you remember, but last year I read your book to my daughter's second grade class. And I sent pictures to your mom. By any chance, do you remember that?
Do you remember that?
I never said that number.
We get lots of great pictures. That's our favorite. People sending us pictures.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the kids loved it. So I know that the book stayed with the classroom for a couple of days. And my favorite thing is that you kind of showed everybody that you can do anything you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you have Down syndrome doesn't matter. You're a great writer. It's a great story.
Yeah, it is. This and I Down syndrome.
Yes, Marcus just recently told me, and I'm embarrassed to say I never asked until about literally 6 weeks ago when we were working on a speech together. I said, Marcus, does anyone in Black Day have Down syndrome? And he said, yeah, Brad. And I didn't ever know.
Oh.
Because Marcus voices Skeleton Pumpkinhead in the movie, and he has always identified with Skeleton Pumpkinhead, is the character he's always identified with the whole time he's talked about it. That's who he plays. So
That's right.
I was, on the one hand, I was like, obviously, and on the other hand, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So
Now talk to me a bit about the movie.
the movie is an animated short of the book.
Yes, that's sort.
And we voiced it all ourselves. So Marcus is the character of Skeleton Pumpkinhead, the lead singer.
Yep.
That's right. And there's a full music video you can see on YouTube of the song that he and his dad wrote together.
That's Quinn.
That's Quinn. And Quinn is also the voice of Frankenstein and the drummer of the band.
Cool. And I'm going to link to that as well so that
Good.
people can go and watch that because it's really awesome. I've watched that, Marcus.
Oh, I got it.
A few times I've watched it with my girls.
Oh, it's in the girls, yes.
Yeah, she has a few
Yeah.
girls.
Because
Marcus, I'd like to know, what do you like to read when you read? What kind of stories do you like?
What kind of stories do you like?
Yes, it does. Stories.
What are your favorite stories to read? Or musical? Favorites
Just,
are a hard thing to
Broadway,
pick.
yes.
Why don't
I gotcha.
you do things that you like?
Barbara book.
He has a lot of books about Broadway shows. Those are his.
cool.
Oh, Marcus, I have a boy who's 17, and
Ah,
he loves musical theater.
yeah.
Do you know Hamilton?
Do you know Hamilton?
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, we haven't seen it, of course. But
Of course.
we have the CD. Yep.
We're Hamilton fanatics at my
Oh,
house.
yeah.
What's your favorite? Well, okay. What musical do you like?
What's your favorite musical?
Shrek.
Shrek the musical is
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Newsies.
Uh-huh.
Definitely.
My son was in Fiddler on the Roof, and then he's going to be in Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah.
Mary Poppins.
Marcus was in Mary Poppins.
I'm a kite boy.
That's right. When they came through Omaha a few years ago with the Broadway cast, Marcus got to be on stage as a kite.
Oh, how cool.
I'm done a kite and play bird.
You're going to play Bert next?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Fabulous.
go from the kite boy to Bert. Good thinking.
Yeah.
We do a lot of...
Question is, do you?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Broadway. That's how we started writing. Black Day started as a one act.
Yeah.
Oh, that I did not know that.
Yes. Every weekend when we write together, we write what we call Broadway List, and Marcus writes a new story almost every weekend. And it's all based on theater. And so we break every story down into its key elements. You want to tell them what's important to a story?
Yeah.
The set.
Set.
The set.
Mhm.
Set.
Uh-huh. Adventure.
The things are conflict,
Conflict.
Mhm.
truth,
Truth.
jokes.
And jokes. That's what's important to a good
Nice.
So
And-
yes, we use that a lot.
And that's all included in Black Day.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
that's right.
So maybe someday, Marcus, you're going to put it on as a play.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because the song, you wrote the song, didn't you?
Marcus Minsko, yes.
He's working on Marcus the musical.
Marcus the
Awesome.
musical. Is
Can my
it,
son come be in that?
Yeah, maybe her son could be in that.
it's Marcus the musical. Is that a story about you and about your life?
Yes.
So what's the conflict?
Hmm. What's
Have you decided what the conflict is going to be?
Table lamp man.
Table Lamp Man is the conflict?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Oh, of course.
About it.
Yeah, okay. No spoilers about it.
No spoilers about it. So Marcus, so you're working on Marcus the musical. Are you going to also write other books though? Are you gonna write like a sequel to Black Day?
Yes, and I play Sparky.
Yep. Wait, we changed Sparky's for Marcus the musical, right?
Yes.
Are you working on any more Black Day stories?
Yes, a Black Day.
What's the next Black Day story?
Black Day 2.
Black Day 2. Yeah.
Nice.
Of course.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes of the pictures.
Yep, we've been working on his drawings are the illustrator for Black Day, Noah Witchell, used Marcus's original drawings as kind of his basis for the ideas. So Marcus has been working on drawing the new characters for the next story.
I ought to be fine.
Yeah. Could be.
Excellent. Do you guys have a Facebook page or anything where people can connect with Marcus and know more about his books?
Yes, our Facebook page is Grown Ups and Downs.
Yes,
Okay.
ups and downs, yes.
And all of that, I will be linking to that on the blog post. So for people that are just listening to the podcast, go to ellensemble.com/episode 6, and that's the number 6, and you're going to find everything about Marcus, about his books and his Facebook page and the videos and the song. It's all going to be linked there, so people can go watch. Yeah, they can go watch you.
And his Twitter account.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Which other Ellen's son, you guys will probably have to follow each other, is Marcus Musical.
Oh, okay. I will tell him.
So yeah, you guys they can compare
Marcus
musical
Musical.
theater thoughts.
Yeah, then I played Tony.
You're gonna play Tony in
Billy Idiot.
Billy Elliot.
Okay. Any other social media? Did we cover it all?
Oh gosh, I think you covered it.
Yeah, so then basically the Broadway.
He's busy with Broadway. Yep.
You are. Hey, Marcus, so since it's still October and it's Down Syndrome Awareness Month, Erin and I talked from a parent's perspective, but you as an adult with Down syndrome, what do you want people to know about Down syndrome?
Well, I'd say the paper's awesome.
The people are awesome.
I agree with
agree.
you.
And girls awesome.
And these girls are awesome.
Yeah.
What do you like to tell people with Down syndrome? Tell other people with Down syndrome.
These eyes, these colors.
Yep, there are lots of colors.
I like that.
Model?
What's your motto?
That's what it means.
You don't remember what that means?
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah, that day want.
Do what you want. That's what Mark
Do what
says.
you want.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Mostly
Actually,
he liked it when I put that at the end of his list.
I was gonna say, I think I've watched a video of you with your dad. And don't you talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You have some funny videos with your dad. You like to make
Yes.
those videos with your dad.
Yeah. Pro Tools.
Oh, yeah, they're the potholes, yeah.
Mhm. They do lots of character voices.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Marcus, you and my 17-year-old would get along really well.
Yep.
Yeah, I love girls.
Yep. I know you do.
So, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, so now that we've asked Marcus all these questions, Marta, you are a writer too. You're an author. So you wrote the book, The Parent's Guide to Down Syndrome.
Mhm.
And that came out about a year ago. Is that right? Or maybe not even a year ago.
Yeah, this year in January. So,
It- Okay.
Wow.
yeah,
And you wrote that with Jen Jacob.
that's right.
Okay. Which I will link to that as well in the post. So Erin and I, we have 9-year-old daughters with Down syndrome. But now your son is 26, so you have all this experience, and you know what it is like to parent an adult with Down syndrome and the challenges of what that is like. So I feel like Erin and I,
only have one.
you only have one. Well,
So,
yes. So we are going to ask you a ton of questions.
Get ready.
Get ready. Yes.
yeah, I'm ready.
So,
I'm ready.
Erin.
Even though I only have one, I do know other people. So,
Yes. Well, you have your experience,
Yes.
and what you've gone through. I mean, you've had to figure out what happens after high school and living arrangements and jobs and, all of that stuff. So,
Yeah, that's
Erin, you go.
In our last episode, we talked about Down syndrome. And one of the things we discussed were the myths about Down syndrome. And we talked about a lot of different things like, oh, they're happy all the time. And that they can't be independent and things like that. So I'm curious from your experience, what is a stereotype or a myth that Marcus fits well and one that doesn't fit him at all?
a few years ago, I wrote an article that said, "Dear Down syndrome, stop trying to take credit for my son's personality." Because there are people who go, "Oh, well, everyone with Down syndrome is creative and dramatic and loves music and blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, I might have had something to do with that.
Yeah.
We live in a house full of improv and laughter and theater and music. And it would actually be quite odd if we had a child that wasn't into all those things. So, whereas I think that people with Down syndrome enjoy ways to express themselves, and music and theater is an obvious choice to do that, and so they kind of get more welcome in those forums, and I think that's part of why that is the way it is. On the other hand, Marcus and I and his dad, we're all three truly introvert people. We're good around other people, but we need our space. We are introverts. And so sometimes people get a little taken aback if, they want Marcus to be totally forthcoming and hugging and all of those things. Yeah. Marcus is like, yeah, I don't really do that. I don't know you. And so I think those are two different stereotypes that we find ourselves in, that we're like, yeah, okay. nah.
Right.
And of course, social media being what it is, and the power of the stories on social media, I think really are helping those break those barriers down a little bit, because we in the whole world are seeing all of the different personalities and characteristics that come with the whole package, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
You know, I think for me, because I have read the book Black Day, and my children have read the book Black Day, I think a huge stereotype, and I know, Mardra, you and I talked about it, that sometimes people don't realize that he wrote it.
Right.
It's his story, and he wrote it, and it's very good.
I know.
It's really good. Because I remember when I told a teacher and we read it, and I told everybody that Marcus wrote it, there was almost a surprise, like, he did? Almost like, how is it that a young man with Down syndrome was able to write this story? And I think, but he did. Right. And that's such a great way, I think, to be breaking those stereotypes, that he's creative, he can tell stories.
And I tell people, you know, I filled in the fluffy words, is what I call it, because like I took a class on, after the story started really coming together, I took a class on children's books and learned things like you need to put knock, knock, knock in there, you know. So to be fair,
yeah, sure.
And you know, there were the bits, and I also tell people every writer has an editor.
Absolutely.
When people don't edit things. So I'm like, there was a process. Marcus was part of our writers group. Through our writers group, he actually got asked to write a 1-act for a local high school, which he did. And of course, being theater, as we've discussed, was right up his alley and a lot of fun to do too. So there's a lot of things we're going to see. And one important thing that I've learned through this process is my motives and intentions are not always his motives and intentions. And, you know, I wanted to put out Black Day because I wanted to kind of prove all those things to the world, because that's Mama's intention. But the story, what Black Day actually teaches people, of course, are Marcus's intentions. And that speaks, you know, way louder and better, even for hard-headed people like moms.
So, Mardra, but with that, you bring up something that I think it's a struggle for me now, and I could see that being a struggle in the future, that I have my own motives and I have my own ideas. And right now my girls are little, but then what happens when all of a sudden your child is no longer a child and now you have an adult, and how to reconcile that as a parent that is still very much involved in your child's life, as opposed to maybe a typical 26-year-old.
Right.
But how do you reconcile that, you know, like the independence and the letting him be an adult and still be the parent that's involved?
Well, I will tell you, one time Marcus and I were headed into the bar, because we like to go to the bar. There, I said. What about again? Maybe now. And we were headed into the bar, and I was saying whatever I was saying to Marcus as we walked in, and he turned around and goes, "Would you stop being a mom?" No. I'm probably not ever going to stop being a mom, but, you know, I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's gone.
Yeah, we lost someone. So I think we're always going to have that. But I would imagine, even though I don't have other children, that that's the same with any child. You're always going to be the mom. But on the other hand, Quinn and I really have to remember to encourage Marcus's own self-advocacy, even in small ways. A year or so ago, we were in Chicago at a seafood restaurant, and Marcus wanted to try oysters, raw oysters. And I was a little nervous about that prospect. But Marcus asked the gentleman himself, "I would like to try some oysters." They brought them out. You know, I was kind of trying to squelch him, but so he like went around me to ask the man himself. So when he went away, I was like, you know what, Marcus, that was really good self-advocacy. You wanted something, you asked the right person, you asked yourself, go for it. Turns out he likes oysters.
I was wondering.
So it's, I encourage people to remember the little steps are all part of that, you know. I mean, Marcus knows that his dad will make him a sandwich because his dad always will, even though he knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Marcus knows he can make his own breakfast, make his own lunch. He's pretty much on his own during the day, but if he can get somebody else to do it, he will. And so we have to remind ourselves, who's really, what are we really teaching here?
Right.
And we are going to do what's called a circle of support, where we're bringing together a variety of people who are interested in Marcus's well-being, including his personal trainer, including his voice coach, including medical people, plus just really good lifelong friends, because Marcus's next steps that he wants to take, which he made clear to me, are dating and an apartment. And so we need to take a team of people to make that happen. So here we go.
Yes.
And 5 years ago, I said point blank in an article that Marcus would never live alone, and now we're planning it. So another thing I tell people is, you know, I see a lot of parents talking about their kids in high school and how they just don't see things as being possible. And Marcus has grown so much, even in the last 3 years, let alone 10. So, and I read when he was born that people with Down syndrome, their learning curve is like this, whereas ours kind of plateaus. As long as you are teaching them, they will keep learning. And I kind of tucked that away and have held on to it, and it's proven itself. I mean, he just continues to amaze me.
So, Marcus, you want to move out and have a girlfriend and do all of that stuff.
Right, that's right. Yes.
That's right. Which is so typical of a 26-year-old man.
Of course.
Right.
Right. And I have to tell you, as moms of 9-year-old girls, we're hoping that never happens.
Oh, yes.
We're like, just stay with us forever.
Forever and ever.
It's true. Well, it's true.
So what has been a surprise to you about the adult that you wouldn't have expected when he was younger? So we now have the show Born This Way. Right. And I have to tell you, there's a number of times that something happens and I go, oh, I didn't even consider that. So what's been a surprise to you?
Well, what's been surprising to me? Even though I just said that I always believed that people with Down syndrome would keep learning, it is surprising to me in a pleasant way how much he grows and changes all the time still. And, you know, on the other hand, I think of my own self, the difference between 21 and 26 was actually a lifetime. So I don't know why it's so surprising to me. But I think it's even his personality is evolving. And so that's pretty cool. And I think another big thing I kind of shared in my, one of the blogs I shared on Ellen's was how I used to really, really, really dread the future. And I think, like, one day I had an epiphany that I literally somehow thought that when Marcus grew up, he would be this unrecognizable person. He would be just another adult that I, for some reason, didn't know, probably because I couldn't imagine it.
Right.
And it just never occurred to me that it would still be him right here with me, with his hilarious personality and all his ideas, and that we were all in, you know, it sounds silly, but because I couldn't imagine what the future would be like, I couldn't imagine Marcus. And so when I finally realized, oh wait, it's us, then oh my, everything got easier. I was like, right, this is awesome. We can do this because it's us.
I think that makes perfect sense. I have a hard time imagining what Anya will be like as an adult. That's a stranger to me, essentially. But I do have to admit that I see adults or older children even with Down syndrome and think to myself, you mean someday she's going to stand still? Please let her stand still.
That's going to be so great. Yeah, it's true. I know.
You know, which is, I think as parents, we think that because I enjoy my daughter a lot and she's 9. And when we think about being older, where hopefully she's not as stubborn, you know, in the way that we're fighting, that we have this relationship and a sense of humor that my husband and I were talking about how nice it would be to go on a cruise. And I said, with a family or just us? And he said, just us. And then he said, well, Nicole could come too if she wanted to, when she's older. And it's just because we imagine that we're really going to enjoy her as an adult,
Right.
To do things with her and not just the role of the parent.
It really, I mentioned the bar, but it really is true. After Marcus turned 21 and we could hang out and do adult things together, that was kind of a turning point for us. We could go to concerts together. We'd go to the show and then out to the bar. We travel a lot and really enjoy it.
That's cool.
You like concerts too, right?
Right, that's right.
That's right.
And you like being an adult and making adult decisions?
Just come up.
Just a grown up.
Just a grown-up.
Just a grown-up.
Which is grown-ups and downs.
Exactly.
Or the Facebook page. Yep. Is there anything, Marja, that you feel like you always dreaded, and now that you're there, you realize there was nothing to worry about?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, we all have such a hard time dwelling on the future.
Mm-hmm.
I try to encourage parents with my brilliant hindsight that, planning and worrying are not the same thing. It's totally great to plan and to do your paperwork as early as possible and work with the transition people and all that, blah, blah, blah. But laying awake at night worrying about what's going to work is ridiculous because aside from your own child, which of course is going, change, he or she, everything else changes so fast. The legislation changes, the opportunities change, housing in particular, just so much has changed even in the last 3 years, let alone 5, so it's just, of course we're all still going to worry because, we're moms.
Right.
But if we can pick and choose, let's just carve out the fact that, you can plan and plan and plan, but to lay awake at night trying to figure out where your child's going to live when they're 30 is not doing anybody any good.
Good advice.
Which, that's a really great point, something great to point out, because I feel like so many of us do worry about that. We do worry about, and the other fear is what happens when we're not around.
Right. And again, planning is good.
Yes.
Right. And I'll just throw out the ARC. The ARC Center for Future Planning is an excellent online tool. It's free. A lot of parents don't plan because they think they can't afford it, but planning by itself does not cost you anything. And there are a lot of great tools out there.
Another good resource.
Yes, which I wrote it down.
And so, and of course with social networking, you can reach out to other people, but planning will actually make you feel better as opposed to the worrying.
That's true. Right. It's true.
Like, I've done what I can do. When you do what you can do, then that's it. Then you have to let it go.
Yep. Another thing that we discussed in our last podcast was the joys of raising a child with Down syndrome. What would you pick as one of your greatest joys?
Well, it's hard to separate, I can't really separate Down syndrome from Marcus.
Good point.
Yeah.
And so I have to just go to Marcus's best qualities, which are his hilarious sense of humor and his empathy, which is unbelievable. And the way he can just hone something down, like this big, huge, obviously I'm a talker, I'm a writer, I write big, long books. And then Marcus will take it down to like 3 words. Exactly right. We were moving my mother one time, and my mother has Alzheimer's, and so she was very confused, and it was a good move, but it was hard for her. And so Marcus, that's what Marcus called it. He said, well, she's sad confused. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. She's sad confused. And then we could get her set up, and he just takes things and boils it right down to what it needs to be. He's looking very grumpy at the camera.
A smile, Marcus.
I think he looks tired to me.
Never.
You're never tired.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I gotcha.
I don't know, Erin, if you have any questions from the podcast that we did, but I was wondering what advice do you have for younger parents, or I should say, parents that have younger kids?
Well, first off, I wrote a whole book.
Yes, you did. The Parent's Guide to Down Syndrome. Yes.
And Jen wrote pretty much the first half, and then I picked up at elementary school, and so there's a lot to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the biggest thing that's a hard question is because, truthfully, just like any child, there's so many unique circumstances, so many unique challenges. The main thing I tell young ones is to just get to know your child for who they are, because that's the best part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember saying right when Marcus was born, okay, but all those chromosomes still came from me, right?
Yes.
So there's nothing more. Yeah, he's still us. So
yeah,
that's the most important thing. So we celebrate his individualism and celebrate who he wants to be. You can't go wrong once you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Dennis McGuire talks about, sometimes people get upset. Well, should I be allowing them their fantasies to be a rock star? Should I be allowing them their fantasies to win a Tony Award? And he's like, well, why not? Would you encourage that in any of your other children? Now, to be fair, artists get a bad rap, and we don't often get encouragement from our parents.
Yeah.
But that aside, you got to go with what they're great at, and that's what all of us, that's what we want to do with any of our kids. So as far as that advice goes, I think it's pretty much the rote. Right?
Just right.
That's right.
Awake.
All right, he's awake now.
Yeah, he is awake.
I know.
Well, so we're going to be wrapping up, but before we go, as always, we have a freebie for everybody, and Mardra has agreed to write 5 tips from a mom who parents an adult with a disability. I kind of butchered the name of it, but it's 5 tips for those of us who have younger kids from a mom who's been there, done that. So she's going to have 5 tips for us. That's the freebie. And I'm going to include the links to her book, which is really great if you have a kid with Down syndrome. And just so you know, the tips are not just for those that have kids with Down syndrome. This is really for anybody that has a child with a disability, because it applies to everybody. Right? So that's what we're going to do. That's what you can find when you go there. Again, it's a big, bright yellow button. I'm going to have all those links from everything that we talked about. And Erin, am I missing anything?
I don't think so, but thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this with us.
Yes. Thank you, Marcus. And thank you for sharing about your book.
Yes.
Welcome.
And thanks, Mardra, for joining us too.
Hey, thank you. It's great to meet you.
Yes. Bye.
Bye, guys.
So it's good to be here.
Bye.